There's a quote by George Lucas that I think perfectly sums up why I love Star Wars so much and holds significant emotional weight. His quote is, "The best way to pursue happiness is to help other people. Nothing else will make you happier." This is a quote that is one of the foundations of this channel. My goal for the Gold Band back in February of 2020 when I restarted the channel was to help people love Star Wars. Since the sequels face the brunt of most of the hate, if I can have people who watch my videos even appreciate this trilogy more in the smallest way possible, then I feel like I have succeeded as a YouTuber and a content creator. I occasionally get comments from people who tell me how much they love my work, or how I made them like the sequels even more, and I can tell you that what George Lucas said is correct. Ironically, I think it's the trilogy that Lucas didn't create that best resembles these words. The relationship between Rey and Ben Solo, I feel, is one of the most important relationships in Star Wars. And I'm not talking about Reylo. I think the relationship is far more important than one that's romantic. I think it's a relationship that people can learn a lot from. There's a trait about Rey that I feel is easily her most admirable, and that's her compassion. We see many times throughout the trilogy how Rey is compassionate towards those in need of it. When BB-8 needed help, she saved him. When she thought she could save Ben Solo in The Last Jedi, she risked her life for him. She saved a snake that was nothing but hostile to her at first. She helped Dio clean a squeaky wheel, and she helped to bring Ben Solo back to the light side. Now, of all of these examples, helping the snake and Ben, I feel, are the two examples that really do speak volumes. It's easy to show compassion for someone who is just in need of help, but it's difficult to show compassion for someone who is in your direct opposition or showing compassion for your enemy. The relationship between Rey and Ben Solo throughout all three movies show why it doesn't matter how evil you may think someone is, you should always treat them with love and compassion. Granted, Rey isn't perfect, she did stab him through the chest, but it's her actions afterwards that matter more. But before we get to this point, I want to highlight the journey of these two characters up until this point and until Ben Solo's death. The Force Awakens establishes every reason why Rey should hate Kylo Ren. He took her against her will, literally restricting her ability to move and putting her to sleep. He invaded her mind with the Force, exposing her biggest insecurities. He killed the man who was maybe the first person to ever resemble a father figure to her. And from her point of view, he could have killed the only person she could call a best friend. Kylo Ren is at the center of most of the problems she faces. She should have every reason to hate him. Then comes The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson wisely begins this story with these two characters in clear opposition. In their second bond, Rey calls Ben a monster, and he replies, "Yes, I am." When diving deep into the personality of Ben Solo, I don't believe he just said this out of the blue. I think Ben genuinely believes that's what he is. He was abandoned by his parents, he felt Luke tried to kill him, and his current master treats him like trash. His whole life he's probably felt like a monster, which is why it makes perfect sense that he turned to the dark side in the first place. Rey hesitates after calling him a monster, which is why in their next bond she asks him why he killed his father. Ben replies by basically saying when he needed his parents the most, they weren't there for him. When he needed Luke the most, he wasn't there for him. Rey realizes that all Ben needed was someone to be there for him. That's why she risks her life to go see him. However, Ben rejects Rey's help, wanting her to join him on the dark side. Rey leaves Ben and literally closes the door on him. Now, many would look at this scene and think that there's no redemption for Ben Solo, but that's not in Rey's character. The Rise of Skywalker begins with them back in opposition. Rey gave Ben a chance and he rejected her. And throughout a good portion of this movie, Ben gives Rey even more reasons why he can't be redeemed. He pushes her to almost kill Chewie, he uses her lineage to Palpatine to try and manipulate her, and he destroys the very thing Rey had spent the entire movie searching for. Rightfully so, she's extremely pissed and out of anger basically kills him. But even when Ben gave her every reason to hate him, she still shows compassion and saves his life. For the first time in his life, there was someone who unconditionally showed compassion to him, even when there was every reason for that person to hate him. This is why Ben turns back to the light side. He was shown the importance of compassion, and when Rey needed someone the most, he was there for her. This is why he gave his life for her. She saved his life, so it's his turn to save hers. So why does this matter to me so much? Why do I love the Ben Solo character and the relationship he has with Rey? Well, it's a belief of mine that there is good in everyone. There are going to be people who will try and hurt you and bring you down, but you should always do your best to be kind and respectful towards them. If you're not going to show respect for someone who disagrees with you, why should they show respect for you? And I know it's a sensitive topic, but I do feel this applies to this fandom or even current events as a whole. We live in a time where it's easy to label your opponents. It's easy to think that people have certain beliefs for one specific reason. But as stories have taught us, especially Star Wars, people are more complicated than that. Whether or not you're a Reylo or a member of the Fandom Menace, or even a Democrat or Republican, listen to what they have to say. You never know, you one day might meet your best friend having a civil conversation with a stranger who you disagree with. So as George Lucas said, the best way to pursue happiness is to help other people. Nothing else will make you happier.